This is The Voice of Land on the Big Play Network with your hosts, Kevin Arnold and Jay Banky. We are going to head out to our Zoom hotline, if you will, for our guest for this evening. He is the co-host of the Dawgs Table, also a part of the Big Play Network, alongside Fatty Jared Bates. He is Craig Fountain. Craig, thank you so much for taking some time with us tonight. I mean, just right off the top, your thoughts on the Amari Cooper trade for the Browns.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. I'm glad to be here and chat with you guys. So the Amari Cooper trade was interesting, and I really don't see any downsides to it. It is one of those things where we've been burnt so many times, especially with free agent wide receivers, that there was a little bit of initial excitement for me, but now I'm cautiously optimistic. And I'm not going to let it ruin the moment based on what's happened in the past, but I'm gonna temper my expectations. That being said, there's still big expectations, even if you temper those down a little bit. So this is a veteran. He's got a lot of experience. He has postseason experience. He's one of the best route runners in the league. He's somebody that is going to be where the ball is supposed to be thrown. And for that, and for Baker Mayfield, I'm excited, very excited.
And Craig, I mean, just speak to, even digging into Twitter, like how convoluted all of that can get, and especially on Browns Twitter. But the notion that everybody try to compare this trade to the Odell Beckham trade, and how people are already making the jokes that Amari Cooper's dad has the video clip ready to go. Just do you feel like I do, like this is different, and why do you feel that way?
In a number of ways, I do feel like it's different, and I don't blame anybody for being apprehensive about it if they're nervous. I think most people are excited, but when this happened, it kind of flashed me back to when the news broke that we had traded for Odell Beckham Jr. And I remember thinking, man, I don't know if we've ever had somebody like this here. Like, this is the most exciting thing. As somebody who's been a fan since 1999, we've had a lot of big signings. Most of them haven't really worked out.
A lot of mediocre wide receivers.
A lot of mediocre wide receivers. But, we had the Jeff Garcia signing. Now I'm showing my age a little bit. That was like, oh, man, we're going to the Super Bowl. We got Jeff Garcia. And then moving forward, we had the Dwayne Bowe signing. We had the Odell Beckham Jr. trade. But I kind of got those same types of feelings. And I was pretty indifferent on whether or not we should pursue Amari. It was one of those things where, for me, it was, if we can go get him and the price is right, then great, do it. Like, it's a need. Let's get this taken care of before the draft so we're not in a corner. We can draft best available if possible. And, it worked out, and the price was right. The price was great.
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, a fifth-round pick for a Pro Bowl receiver. Like you said, he's a phenomenal route runner, and I think that's going to mix very well with Baker. He was by far my number one target in free agency this year. But to change subject, looked like we had a little breaking news while the show was on.
Yeah, Craig kind of alluded to it in our chat room here on Zoom as we have him on. Craig Fountain from the Dawgs Table joining us, and Tom Brady's retirement is over.
What is the details on this? Anybody know anything? I'm not reading Twitter on this side over here.
I am looking at Ian Rappaport from NFL Network at RapSheet. His initial tweet says, Tom Brady is back, a short retirement. The Bucs never replaced him and didn't make an offer on Deshaun Watson. They left the light on. Now Brady is back, and as the soccer fan that I am and the Man United fan that I am, Cristiano Ronaldo, a hat trick yesterday against Tottenham, Emmett Golden's favorite team, also a friend of the show, Andrew Hagenbaz. But I say all that to say that Tom Brady was in attendance at Old Trafford yesterday at Man United's home game for the English Premier League, and there was a video after the game of him and Ronaldo kind of talking. Ronaldo asked him, "Are you really done?" And Tom Brady kind of gave him a little shrug that was like he didn't want to answer and could kind of tell there was a camera on him. So this is actually not surprising, and looks like I just got it on my ESPN app as well. So Tom Brady says on social media, this is according to ESPN and on the ESPN app, that he is coming out of retirement. These past 2 months, I've realized my place is still on the field and not in the stands, as Tom Brady says. He goes on to say, that time will come, but it's not now. I love my teammates and I love my supportive family. They make it all possible. I'm coming back for my 23rd season in Tampa, unfinished business, LFG. I will not tell you what LFG means because this is not that kind of show. So, I mean, Craig, not surprised by this.
It's not the Dawgs Table.
Yeah, it's not the Dawgs Table. It's not the Dawgs Table. Not surprised by this at all.
So Giselle has already gotten tired of him being home after 2 months. So
Apparently, that's why she sent him all the way across overseas. You know, I didn't see his family with him at the.
if I was home for 2 months straight with my wife, she'd probably be like, "Get the hell out of here, too." So.
But I mean, guys, not surprising, right?
No, I mean, I'm
Not
kind
at
of
all.
glad actually. That's
You
one
can
less
squash
team
the Baker rumors, right?
Yeah.
to Tampa. Yeah,
Yep.
The Baker to Bucks rumors.
Yeah, that's just another, I guess, feather in the cap of what the Browns have been saying this whole time, that they plan on Baker being their starting quarterback. Craig, I know it's a tough subject, but gotta ask the question since we are on quarterbacks right now. I mean, these rumors about Deshaun Watson and the Browns doing their due diligence on veteran quarterbacks. I mean, your thoughts on it? Again, I know it's a touchy subject because there's a lot of legal matters that go into it, and but just I guess from a football standpoint, where are you at with the whole Baker, no Baker type thing, and all these rumors about other QBs?
You know, for me, it's really, if you're not doing your due diligence, you're not doing your job, and you know, that just goes to show that you're going to investigate every option possible. Before Washington, the Commanders traded for Carson Wentz, they actually picked up the phone and they called the Kansas City Chiefs about Patrick Mahomes, because what's the worst they're going to do, right? They're going to say no.
Mm-hmm.
So due diligence is part of the job, and I have every reason to believe that Andrew Berry in the front office is doing just that. So has it been a discussion? I'm sure it has. How serious of a discussion? I'm not sure. There's a lot of reports coming out from the media that they've communicated with the Texans, that they've had discussions, that they're interested in exploring their options. Of course they are. Everybody is always interested in exploring their options, and everybody has a price. What doesn't line up to me is the way this front office has worked so far. It just doesn't seem to fit what their goals are, what their intentions are, and it doesn't really align with really the philosophy that I think they've shown that they have. Now, maybe they pick up the phone and say, hey, we know that, the rumor is you're asking for 3 firsts. Will you take a second in Baker Mayfield? Who knows? It could be a conversation like that. It could be a shot in the dark. Maybe they're all in and we just don't know it yet. My personal belief is that Baker Mayfield deserves another year. I think he should play out his 5th year, and then if he plays well, we keep him. Great. Make him an offer. If he wants to stay, extend him if you can come to terms. If he doesn't play well, then it's over. It's over. But
I mean, you
I
can tell
think
by
that-
what I'm wearing who I'm supporting these days.
Yeah.
I'm rolling with 6.
Yeah, and that's a pretty neutral stance, from me. And I'm a Baker Mayfield fan, and I'll admit it. I'm a Baker Mayfield apologist to some extent, but I'm not buying the whole you're rooting for mediocrity type thing. Baker showed us that he can play at times. His ceiling is so high, right? And
I mean, I'm getting so aggravated with people that say that if you root for Baker, you're thinking for mediocrity. Dude, if you go to when he hurt himself originally and you go those 4 games afterwards, he's up and down there, which is because he's semi-hurt. But then you go to the J.J. Watt body slam. After that, he was terrible, rightfully so. On top of the fact that he had both of his tackles gone, and I don't know if you watched the one Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes when his 2 tackles are gone. He looked like garbage in the Super Bowl because his tackles were gone, and that'll destroy any quarterback. So you take that, on top of all the other injuries that we had on the offense, on top of who was supposed to be our star receiver. I don't care what anyone says. I had nothing against him, but after everything I heard, he checked out and he wasn't all in here. Was he a nice guy in the locker room? Probably. He seems very kind to everyone and gets along with everyone, but he was not all in, and that's why I think he was dropping passes over the middle consistently. So you take all that. Now you're going back from before he got hurt. What game was that before that? Those 2 games before that. He was great in Houston. He was great in KC. And then you go back to the playoffs. He was awesome against KC in the playoffs. He was awesome against Pittsburgh. And you go back before that, he had a great run to get into the playoffs. He was healthy during all that. His line was healthy during all that. And he played great. Dude gets hurt. All our players get hurt, and everyone wants to throw him away all of a sudden. Like, it's as plain as day to me that that's why he played bad. I don't understand why everyone can't see that.
Actually, he played great even when his line was hurt because he had some guy named Blake, right?
Yeah, some guy named
right,
Blake.
in the playoffs. So it's
Yeah.
like he can play.
Yeah.
And I think the issue was he is too much of a competitor that he should have come out. He should have gotten the surgery earlier but he wanted to win and he thought he could.
Right. And we've been through like everything about Baker and how being realistic about it. Baker Mayfield can play the game of football and can play the position of quarterback in the NFL and can play it well. Did he do it last year? No. Is part of that because of the injury? Probably. Is there decision-making habits that he created that he needs to fix, that he needs to get better at? Absolutely. Does he need to be even better than the 2020 Baker Mayfield that we saw, that we know can play, and why so many people want him to be the starter next year when he was healthy? Absolutely, he still needs to play better than that because they didn't win the championship that year. Everybody's got to play better than that season, and definitely better than last year. I think the thing is, I think Craig said it best. If you're not doing your due diligence, words are hard but oh so fun. I mean, that's a catchphrase. That's a hot button kind of phrase that people like to throw around when they're putting these reports out there. It's a cliche, but cliches in sports tend to be right more often than not. If you're not doing that due diligence, you're not doing your job. Craig said it best. I mean, we don't need to spend too much time on Deshaun Watson. I know we're kind of all, I think from a personality standpoint or just more of a, real life standpoint, I even have a hard time rooting for Kareem Hunt at times, still from what he did. Now, he got a second chance. Does everyone deserve a second chance? I do believe in that.
And he's doing well by it.
And,
he is.
And doing well by that. That's one woman versus 22 allegations. And there's a lot still to be determined with all of that. Craig said it. I'll say it. I know, Jay, you agree with it. It does not match up with what this front office is about. It may have with the front office before, with Buddy Boy, but it does not match up with Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski, and what they're doing. Now, if they do it, we'll have a conversation then. I'm not going to say much more than that. Craig Fountain from the Dawgs Table is joining us. And Craig, before we kind of switch gears here and get you out of here, we did mention our poll question, and I want to ask that to you because I think that's the biggest thing kind of going into free agency. So after trading for Amari Cooper yesterday, what position would you, Craig Fountain, like to see the Browns improve next as the legal tampering period opens tomorrow? And then, of course, the official league year starting at 4 p.m. on Wednesday. We offered the options of another wide receiver, defensive line, whether ends or tackles, or the option of other, with people able to comment on those on what they think. So where are you at with free agency approach for the Browns? What is your ideal situation?
So the ideal situation for me, and I've kind of come to this stance where I believe, as a fan and somebody who's paying attention, that the right thing for Andrew Berry and the Browns to do is to correct the defensive line through free agency, address wide receiver in the draft, and fill out some of the depth in the draft. So the defensive line of free agency is number one priority, in my opinion. I don't know if I have any specific targets in mind that I'm like, I have to have that guy, like, please go get this guy. But we don't need to hit a bunch of home runs, right? We're playing Moneyball. We need to get on base, and then we need to bat the runner home. So it's one of those things where I want them to put the pieces together, and the defensive line for me is the most important position to attack in free agency. And then let's address wide receiver in the draft. Maybe get some depth guys in free agency, but if we're talking about making a splash or who you're calling about first, it's got to be defensive line, interior defensive line, specifically for me.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we're kind of on the same page. We'll give our answers, Peter, or audio. Jay and myself will kind of do that after the break. But percentage chance, Craig, that Clowney comes back. We're just personal opinion.
It's 50-50, and you know what? People don't like to hear this, but it's 100% about the money. I don't care who you talk to. It's 100% about the money. One of my favorite podcasts of all time to listen to is The Tomahawk Show. And Joe Thomas and Andrew Hawkins, both former Cleveland Browns. Joe Thomas is the most stand-up guy in the world, right? Like, he's the guy that does everything right. And he's the guy that will tell you the truth. And even Joe Thomas will tell you, they say it's not about the money. It's about the money. So it's all going to come down to, does he want to stay here based on what we're offering him? And it's 50-50. Amari Cooper signing, that complicates things, right? We're $3 million over the cap as we sit. You can hopefully restructure Jarvis. Hopefully we don't have to cut him. But, you know, you're going to have to start freeing things up. Austin Hooper, his situation got a little bit more dire here. So 50-50. I wish I had a better answer, but it's a toss-up.
No, you're totally right. 50-50, and again, all about the money there. And the Browns are going to have to kind of finagle things with their roster. And there's a lot more to already be determined, and a lot more storylines to come out of Berea, because we're not even really getting started yet. The legal tampering period opens tomorrow at noon. So
everything's going to completely change by tomorrow. That's the way it is.
If people are listening to the audio recording on Thursday, well, then everything's already happened and you're enjoying March Madness. But for the most part, you know, it's going to happen over the next, really start in the next 3 days, and the Browns, all those moves to get money freed up will happen. Craig, we want to thank you so much for coming on. Give you a chance to kind of plug the Dawgs Table. What is it, and any other projects you got going on, how people can follow you.
Yeah, so, and I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm grateful for that. The Dawgs Table is a Browns Roundtable discussion show that anybody can join. And what we do is we go live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. We're part of the Big Play Network. And we post a link in the comments of the show. We interact with fans live. You can call in and video chat like I am with Kevin and Jay here. Sometimes we have a couple people come in. Sometimes we can't get everybody in, but we'll also display and interact with comments on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all that in real time. So it's truly a roundtable discussion. It's not so much a platform for us to kind of voice our opinions as much as it is to engage with the fans. So you can find us at Dawgs Table on Twitter. You can find us on YouTube, again, Facebook, even TikTok. We go live on TikTok. I have a podcast that centers around the entire NFL, not just the Browns. It's called Ginger's Talk Football with my brother from another mother, literally, my ginger brother. And we talk the entire NFL landscape. So you can find that. That's on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere you get your podcasts.
And, of course, follow him at Craig A. Fountain as well on Twitter, and he will repost all of the Dawgs Table and podcast elements there. Craig, again, thank you so much. You guys are doing such an innovative thing with the Dawgs Table. We always appreciate the opportunity when you guys allow us to come on as well.
Oh, it's always a good time going on with those guys.
And and we appreciate you taking time away from the family at night to join us tonight. So thank you so much, Craig.
Thanks for having me, guys.
That is Craig Fountain of the Dawgs Table. You can catch that live Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Most of the time. Sometimes they'll go out and be live in the community as well with him and Jared Bates, a friend of show, also one of the co-hosts of Illegal Ham to the Face.
And just two great guys.
Just two great guys, a whole bunch of great guys. There's Illegal Ham to the Face with my cousin Vinny, and Bry with Big Bry, and Jared Bates, and of course with Dawgs Table. And then you get guys like Red Leg on there, and a whole bunch of people that are having real conversations on Browns Twitter, not actually part of the Browns Twitter that we joke about or kind of criticize.
Talking about mayhem.
Pulling back the curtain, going through the fourth wall, looking into the camera. We make a bit out of talking about Browns Twitter on here. That's not the same Browns Twitter type of people you're going to get on the Dawgs Table.